Welcome to the Monday edition, the first episode after the Super Wildcard weekend. I am Phil Perrins, your resident 49er educator. Joined as me, as always, is Mr. Butler Henderson, who is still repping the fire, Matt Patricia. He might be onto something at some point within the next hour. And also, we've got little baby Ollie, my 49er brother. How are we doing, ladies and gents?
Happy after another 49ers win.
I tell you what, at half time, I was on the ropes a little bit.
Yeah.
On the ropes a little bit. I thought the Seahawks would unjustifiably beat us, but I mean, we'll get to it in a couple of minutes anyway. But I mean, our game was the only game where the winner outwardly dominated and won the game quite comfortably in the end.
Yes.
I was about to say, yeah, but not for the first half.
Yeah.
No.
Two quarters of that game, it was pretty even.
Well, I mean, that was shown by the halftime score of 17-16.
Yeah. I mean, let's put it this way. All these games, I'm going to put Cincy in that one, have been really good games, really entertaining games. And everyone thought, having 7 teams in there and having, a weak team in there, blah, 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 would make it really bad. Jacksonville upsetted LA.
Oh my God, what a game. What a game.
New York upset Minnesota, so...
Yeah, much to the dismay of a former host that I had a bit of a exchange with on Facebook with this morning.
Oh, yes. I was just giving a load of bants yesterday. More fun.
Yeah.
Oh, let's roll on to it. Let's get you out of the way, and I'm just going to go and get myself some ice cream. I'll be back in a bit.
No, Mr. Butler Henderson, stay with us because you're part of the team.
Okay. I'll let you go first, Phil.
Right, so playoff games now. I don't want to go too much talking about my boy Glock Purdy, but he played. I mean, when we compare him down to Thompson, who was the third stringer that played for the Dolphins yesterday, you are understandably going to get some playoff jitters. I mean, that was the story coming into it. That was a story after the first quarter and partly into the second quarter. I thought Brock looked kind of like shaky, a little bit unnervy. I mean, it showed of the drives. It showed of how much we scored. I thought our defense, despite the score going into halftime, effectively shut down a lot of Seattle's weaponry.
I'd just like to interject there. That Jimmy Ward hit was brainless.
Yes,
that
I mean
that should have been an ejection.
I'm more referring to the fact that Jimmy Ward did not need to hit the quarterback, and the 15-yard penalty cost us a field goal.
Yeah, and I mean, went in as well. It was helmet to helmet.
However, I do think there were many missed penalties by the refs, like when Jonathan Abram literally twisted Debo's leg after holding it up in the air.
It wasn't Amber. It was Woolen. It was Tyreek Woolen.
No, they thought it was Woolen, but it was Abram.
Okay.
Hi, Dave. It won't be too much 49ers testosterone. Ollie's limiting.
You hate us because you ain't us. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. The commentator said it was Woolen, but it was actually Abram.
Yeah, and
apparently that pissed us off and made us angry, which apparently allowed us to step up a gear, according to Carrier's check. And George Kittle.
I do think, though. I mean. Ollie, you can vouch this or you can agree, but I do think the 49ers have turned into a second half team where definitely. It's not just our defense that. I mean, I said this the other week against Oakland. It was that game where the offense had to show that they didn't have to rely on the defense to carry. The defense is effective. It shut down Seattle completely in the second. Yeah, they scored a consolation touchdown to finish the game, but it was garbage time. The game was already over. But the offense is proven that they are ridiculously unstoppable. And Brock, despite we don't really know his limit yet, and I don't want to go in too much into it, but like the second half, Brock Purdy, phenomenal. Like his pass that was dropped by Ayuk. If Ayuk catches that would be on highlight reels forever. We talked about the catch last Thursday.
Scrambled around and around and around.
If that's what he scrambled. If that's why you have to tell you sleep at night, David, you can tell yourself that.
I mean, that scramble is the equivalent to like Montana and Young with Tio and and it was if he catches that, catch 4, like literally that would be all over the place. Robbie Gould setting the NFL record for the most consecutive field goal conversions. I think it was 20. Was it 24, 25
in the playoff?
In the playoffs, 25 consecutive playoff conversions. He's never missed.
And it's funny you say about how we're a bit of a second half team, because obviously earlier in the season we were shutting out teams in the second half.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but in our 2012 Super Bowl run, weren't we also a bit of a second half team?
We were, but we weren't. I don't think our offense switched on until Kaepernick took over in the Bears game, where we were starting to blow teams out. We was very, very close for a long period of times until Alex Smith went down. So sorry about sorry, but that system you have, any QB will work. All you need is a run. I mean, you're not wrong, David, because we had Picnic. I mean, we made Nick Mullins look a lot better and helped his Chris CJ as well. I mean, Ollie were talking the other day off air about him being with the 49ers and that Shanahan has set him up for wherever he is now in his career. Yeah, I do understand. I do agree because we have so many offense weapons, but I think you also need to have a bit of ability, have a bit of being able to go on the fly if things go wrong. And I think we're starting to see this in the San Francisco offense.
You still need. You could have all the talents in the world. You could have you could have the all-pro offense, but if you don't have a quarterback that can make the throws, you're not going to win games.
Absolutely.
So yes, our system is probably a bit of a plug and play with the quarterback, but you still need a quarterback that can make the throws, and Brock made most of the throws.
I mean, despite the fact that people saying he was having this very, very sketchy half, his actual game stats itself, and I'm just going to bring them up very, very quickly because I don't want to spend too much time talking about the 49ers.
I've got them in front of me here, though. He was 18 from 30, 332 yards, 11 TDs, 1 sack, 8 hits, QBR rating 89.5 and 131.5 passer rating.
That's ridiculous. The one that we were saying.
Did you say so?
And he also rushed 4 times for 16 yards.
Yeah. So for someone that the commentators were saying had a very, very patchy first half, he blew a lot of the quarterbacks away, like in terms of statistically over the weekend. We can rag on the Seahawks barely getting into the playoffs, but you can only beat what's in front of you, and the 49ers have beaten everything that's been in front of them for the last 11
games. In response to Dave's, think the 49ers might be in a shock when you play the Bucs. We've already played the Bucs and we blew them out.
Yeah.
With Brock Purdy at quarterback.
But Tom Brady in the playoffs is completely different.
Yeah,
yes, but we're also now in a position that we haven't been in for a long time, especially this season, where all of our heavy guns, all of our heavy hitters, our pro ballers, our quality skill players, they're all back. Like they're all injured. Like we've got Debo back, we've got Greenlaw back, we've got Drake Jackson will be back. I mean, our secondary looked ridiculously strong. Fred Warner is playing every bit as the all-pro baller that he is. George Kittle's on it. CMC, Debo, Ayuk, Jennings.
The only players we're missing are our two quarterbacks and Emmanuel Mosley.
Yeah.
I want to say something. 2 things I've picked up on from the game. Yes, Brock was shaky in the first half. Surely you'd set a game plan to go, right, let's play the simple plays, the shallow crossing routes, the screen passes to C-Mac or Debo or the handoffs to those kind of players to get his confidence, get that nerves out of the system, and then he could start playing. Like you could open up the playbook to make him play the more throws. The second thing is as well, DK Metcalf had, I don't know which ward it was, so
Tavarius Ward had an absolute stinker of a game.
Had him on toast in the first half.
And the second half, both halves.
But they didn't throw to him. And why didn't you go to two-man team? Yes, I understand they got Tyler Lockett.
Well, I was screaming to double team him for the entire game.
And they didn't. And DK Metcalf had a really good game. And he could have had a couple more, another TD as well on that one, but he was unlucky.
It was the first time he's had a good game against us.
It's one of those things, isn't it? That'll be a hell of a Super Bowl. Jags Giants. Wow.
I have to admit, I can't see either of those teams making the Super Bowl.
We never know. We never know.
Stranger things have happened. So
stranger things have happened. Yep.
Speaking of Jags, should we move on to the Jags Chargers?
Yeah, named after the, a certain quarterback's tweet that he put out on Sunday. So Trevor Lawrence did tweet out with a meme saying they had us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie.
I saw that as well.
If there is ever a definitive a game of two halves in NFL, this is it. Completely and utterly. I mean,
this capitulation by the Chargers, is it down to, and this is really, really interesting point because I think it will go over into next week with the Jags. That capitulation, is that down to the Jags playing better in the second half, or the complete collapse of every side of the ball in the Chargers? Because do you think?
Yeah, 6 of one, half a dozen the other.
And just while I'm on this, Brandon Staley is expected to stay head coach of the Chargers.
Just as Dave's put that in.
Yeah, the coach is not expected to be sacked. There are expected to be some changes, but as far as I'm aware, Brandon Staley is expected to be head coach.
Yeah, I don't see him being sacked.
Which is sort of annoying because I sort of wanted him as a replacement for D'Amico Wyatt.
See, I've put in a couple of notes about this game. So, no, that's not it. Where are my notes gone? With me, right. Going back to the Seahawks game, your game. I've completely forgot about this one. Geno's the most sacked QB on third downs. Thanks, Jay Bell.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
I love Jay Bell.
Yeah, but going back to this, the first couple of interceptions, Trevor Lawrence in the first half. The first one, he was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, but that
happens. That happens. Fair enough.
That can be seen as a quarterback's fault.
Why should someone be at 6'7" get tipped at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, they shouldn't.
You know, he's obviously, yes, you got the arm up, didn't know that, but you shouldn't.
Is that how tall Trevor Lawrence is?
Yeah, he's 6'7".
I didn't know that.
The second pick, Zay Jones was held. He tried to make the break and the route, come back, and he was held.
He was.
So he couldn't make the break. And that wasn't called as PI. Yeah, okay, it hasn't affected the game in the end, but
it could
it's still a big call that they've missed. I know we get all these reviews all the time, but it's not good. It shouldn't be missed.
It's going back to that Rams Saints game a couple of years ago, where literally there was a very, very blatant PI call, and that was in the conference championship.
Yeah, and it just went absolutely mad, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was beyond shocking. It really was.
I was annoyed because I had a bet on the Saints to get to the Super Bowl that year.
But it was like Trevor Lawrence was two different quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yes, I do think the Jags did up their game, but I think the Chargers just lost their heads.
Yeah, okay.
I also think that's Doug Peterson's experience of having us play a Super Bowl run team with the Eagles like he did in 2017. So he's used to being in the Super Bowls, used to having that run and getting into the playoffs, going deep into the playoffs as well. It helps. It's like, right.
Yeah, it's generally. I mean, I think Doug is a fairly limited coach anyway. But in terms of bringing that, and we talk about like Dan Campbell, like in Detroit, bringing that winner's mentality, that absolute win. Because you saw him on the sideline when they were down, like he never panicked, like he wasn't getting angry. He had a game plan, he planned it all out, and because he just ooze kind of like calm and confidence, I think that rubs off. And then Trevor Lawrence is only going to get better from. I mean, we say this every week, saying this the London games, but this is going to be amazing for Trevor Lawrence, regardless of what happens next week. He's proven that he can have the worst half of football in his life.
Oh God,
and then second half, 30 minutes, plays ball and drags his team as a leader across the finish line. Yes. He's also still undefeated throughout his entire career in high school and college. He's never lost a game on a Saturday.
Crazy, isn't it?
Insane stat. Like he's never lost a game on a Saturday. That's
admittedly, he did play for Clemson, so it's one of those. But
I mean, you can't knock talent because talent's always going to want to have the best players. But but that's just insane. I really want them to do well. I really, really do. I would love for the Jaguars to get to the Super Bowl. I think that would be phenomenal.
I'm not a big fan of Trevor Lawrence after what happened in the college championship semifinals and what he said. But
remind us.
I was about to say exactly the same.
Apparently, he walked up to Justin Fields after getting blown out by Ohio State and said to him, "We may have lost, but I'm still going to be the first pick, and I can still fuck your mum."
I mean, was he wrong?
I think it's just arrogant, though.
You think?
Yeah. Well, after just being absolutely blown out by Ohio State, what you should say to
Justin Fields.
What you should say,
and now he's aiming to get blown out by Justin Fields' mom. So it's kind of like.
And what you should say to the quarterback is "good game."
Yeah.
I go back to the Cam Newton field, or the Cam Newton school of being a loser. Be salty and bitter, and I know. I mean, are we really going to judge a lad in his early 20s, late teens about what he said after a big loss?
Blatant shithousery.
Yeah. I mean, I can see the annoyance. Absolutely, yes. You can't even say professional because he wasn't even a professional player. He's still a college. It's like you in your second year of uni, Ollie. Me in the first and second uni. I mean, I did some absolute horrible shithousery on the field. I was horrible, absolutely horrible. I was not a nice player. I was not a nice player.
I don't think we should go into my second year at uni.
No.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just over the moon for the Jags. Big victory.
I remember, like, if you go into that, I remember when I was playing for my college in the final, and I scored, and the player comes up to me, goes, "Oh, that was an absolute fluke," and I said, "You were an accident," and walked off and left him like that. It's just whatever. It's in that moment, and you're not in control of your emotions.
Yeah.
Anything can be said, and it happens. A bit like Joe Bosa smashing his helmet on the ground, which pretty much gave them a 1 yard, which gave them the 2 point.
Yeah.
And the play clock's down to 3, so that means we must go on to the next game.
The clock management in this game actually hurt me. The clock management in this Bills Miami game, the clock management from Miami was actually painful.
Yeah. Oh, it was poor. Really, really poor.
I mean, there were 4 delay of game penalties in the second half.
Three timeouts
were banned because Skylar Thompson and Mike McDaniels couldn't control the clock.
Yeah, but Mike McDaniels was too busy vaping on the sideline.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But I couldn't tell because the camera cut away so quickly that I couldn't tell whether or not he was blowing into his hand. Like, when you get caught and you go, I couldn't tell what he was actually blowing into. So, oh my God, if he was, that's ridiculous because I could see that's a heavy fine and as a touchline ban. I mean, if it is what it is, but something it could just be generally something that's blowing into his hand because he's playing in Buffalo in the winter. What
was it? 15, something like that, wasn't it? They said.
Yeah. So I felt watching that game that there was no way that the Miami offense were going to score enough points to beat Buffalo. I just didn't. I thought their defense, and I was talking to you guys during the game, their defense was more likely to score more points than the offense was. And I understand them not playing Teddy because of a fracture in his throwing pinky, but at the same time, they put out their is Thompson a third string, or was he third string?
Third string.
Yeah, he's
third string rookie. So again,
seventh round pick.
All right, so a very, very similar situation to Brock Purdy. I'm not going to talk about Brock Purdy again for too long, but similar position. However, Brock had multiple games running up to this like in terms of to get himself used to the system.
Yeah.
When did Thompson play the last game of the regular season?
I think he played the last two.
Either way, he looked like a player who was playing his first professional game, like he did.
Yeah.
He came on against us because we wanted to make it 8-8 to take us to 8-8. He came on because we took because that's the game that Teddy broke his finger.
Okay.
He played against New York on week 17. 17, yeah. No, week 18. So I get it right.
Yeah, but he also played earlier in the season when both Teddy and Tua had a concussion.
Of course he did, yes. Yeah. But he played, to be fair, he played all right. He didn't play too bad. He wasn't scared to take shots. Jalen Waddle dropped a lot. Tyreek Hill dropped a lot.
Waddle had a bit of a stinker.
He didn't actually catch a ball until into the third quarter. I think it might be in the fourth quarter, actually.
I think he touched the ball in the third quarter with a jet sweep.
Yeah, his arm got in the way. It was a good defensive breakup.
And then in the fourth quarter was when he actually caught a ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really, really good game. It was a long game.
Oh, really, it was. Really... I thought the game was not going to end at one point.
Was it the longest? Did I say it was the longest game of the season?
Yeah.
Without
going into overtime.
But do you not think that is just the current evolution of a lot of teams more focusing on the passing game than the run game? Because if this was a run game, it would have ended under 3 hours. But like, it literally was just pass.
I mean, the fact that they had to push back the next game by 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I still missed the first drive.
Effectively, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it doesn't help when you've got really bad clock management, so you're literally running down the whole clock, and then it's throwing the flag.
Yeah.
Which extends it. Yes, the throwing. I mean, I tweeted out our thing. Josh Allen, Josh Allen just wanting to throw the ball long all the time, not running the ball, killing the clock.
I mean,
you're making like short crossing, like the same thing crossing routes. Get the quick 5-6 yards, be ahead of the chains, go again. Not.
I mean, I think Buffalo not having a top tier running back is a part of that.
Oh, if I was them, I'd be knocking on Josh Jacobs' door and going, hello, come and join us, please. Come and get a ring with us.
All pro running back.
Yeah, because that guy in that offense would be brilliant. And he'll have a lot less pressure on that team, on him as well, because you've got the likes of Diggs, Davis, Shakira's having a breakout, Dawson Knox, anti-vaxxers now playing for them as well.
Cole Beasley.
Yeah. They've got a very good...
Did he get cut because of the anti-vaxxing?
He retired and then unretired.
Oh, he did a Brady, did he?
No, he unretired midway through this season.
Or Davey Russell if you're into horse racing.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's what it was. I mean, Dolphins made Buffalo look average. Really average.
Definitely beatable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Josh Allen looked flappable. He was trying to force it too much. He just wasn't playing Josh Allen's style of football.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I've not seen Josh Allen make a fumble and lose the ball. He's normally so strong at holding onto that ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh well. Probably onto the game of the weekend.
Oh, I tell you what, everyone should have played a drinking game of every time Greg Olsen says you should go for it on fourth down, take a shot, and everyone would have been in hospital with their stomach pump by the end of the game.
I know.
The amount of times Greg Olsen was like, fourth down, let's go for it. I'd go for it. I'm like, come on. There's a punter for a reason.
Unless you're in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
Saquon Barkley breaking ankles.
Yes.
Danny Jones looked absolutely knackered because he was the leading rusher in that game. 78 yards.
Daniel Jones had the game of his career.
Daniel Jones was like, give me that contract kind of game.
Daniel Jones has just earned a hell of a lot of money off that game.
Interesting is, him and Saquon Barkley, both their contracts are up. Both their contracts are up.
New York needs to pay them both.
Which is really, really interesting. Because I don't think they can pay both. They're going to have to tag one and pay the other one. I don't know about the Vikings. The Vikings have, they fluked their way into a 13-4 lead, into a 13-4 record. They had minus points difference.
-3, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. And I think they've gone as far as they can with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kirk Cousins reminds me of the same as Ryan Tannehill.
Kirk is a good quarterback. But Kirk also has a ceiling that he's reached. And I just can't see him going past that.
There was a video that was posted on social media, and it was of Kirk Cousins and his wife when they had like a gender reveal. And he throws like a football at a plank of wood, and it explodes, and it's like a color, like it was a color blue. Congratulations to the Cousinses for their baby boy.
This was a while ago.
Yeah, and it was said
somewhere.
I will know. Basically, like it thoroughly exploded. It was like captioned underneath that says, "Kirk Cousins threw the ball further at a gender reveal party than he did and 4th and 8 when his season was on the line."
He
threw a 3-yard pass on a 4th and 8 in the deciding throw or the deciding play of the game.
Just going back to that gender reveal, it was a 4-yard throw, and he almost missed.
But at the same time, he still threw it further than he did in the game yesterday. I
don't understand that throw. I get the whole yak thing, but the guy who was guarding Hawkinson was on him.
Yeah, my wife said that.
Sorry, carry on.
No, sorry. My wife said that when we were watching it. She was just going like, because she looked at the Viking stats and she's going, Jesus Christ, how are they in the position that they are, with their negative points differential? And then watching that game, you take the record out of the equation, you would not know that the Vikings absolutely blew where they were, and you'd assume that the Giants were the stronger team going into this. It was ridiculous.
TJ Hawkinson had a good game.
Who had a good game was Isaiah Hodgkinson. That was his 9th game in the NFL.
Yeah, I just like that catch of the week. I've already claimed that.
I wasn't preparing us to do it in that one for the postseason, but yeah, I mean, talk about literally dragging the depth of the barrel to find wide receivers.
Yeah,
because that's what they've done. Richie James, Slayton. Cager and all that. They've literally dragged the depth of the barrels to find these.
That big off-season move of Kenny Golladay really has backfired, hasn't it?
That was 2 years ago, wasn't it now?
Yeah.
I mean, he's injured for the first season. He's not even featured. He had a couple of blocks and that was about it. He had no targets.
Rich James Jr., ex-49er, had a great game. Darius Slayton's had a great season.
I mean, you had a conversation with a guy on Facebook, our former host actually, about the Vikings defense.
Which doesn't exist.
Said that they needed new DC, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the problem. I'm looking at their team there. They've got Harrison Smith, who's aging. They've got Hunter, what's his name? I can't find his name.
Hunter, it is Hunter.
No, Hunter, Patrick Peterson are older now.
And Zadarius Smith, don't forget him.
Zadarius Smith, it's an aging defense. This is the issue now. You need to get a young defense in there. And I think that's their problem. They've gone the opposite to what Patriots do. They've drafted in the offense, not in the defense. And then mixed it up, and they need to go start getting. Yes, they had those.
It's very. I feel like their philosophy is, if that team scored 35, we need to score 36 minimum.
Well, it was 11 games they won this season by one score, which is the most in the NFL.
As opposed to Shane just popped up.
Need to get a proper job.
Honestly, the streak continues for when the Ravens lose, and then he miraculously doesn't come on the next episode. Just saying.
That is true.
Just saying, mate. Just saying. He just happens to work and tell us in the morning that he can't make it after the Ravens flunk.
Yeah, I mean, Dalvin Cook wasn't that effective.
No.
I mean, the rush game wasn't that good at all on
He got swallowed from the backfield a lot.
Yeah. A lot.
I mean,
the
but then Jones
yard is 11 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Daniel Jones is amazing. Like, I generally like watching that game and how he's been this season. He has been phenomenal, and I think the Giants have now found their quarterback for the next 10 years.
I assume we're going to do 1 to 32 quarterbacks again in the off season.
I think we should. Yeah.
I think Daniel Jones will be going up mine in your list, Ollie.
Oh,
I think he'll be definitely 10th in mine.
Because I remember on mine he was 24th, and I believe he was even lower on yours, Ollie.
Yeah, I think he might have been near like low 20s. I think, off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you can do with a good offensive-minded coach that Dable is.
Is Dable coach of the year? That's the question.
I would say probably, yeah. Or is it the Eagles guy or
Shanahan?
Yeah, I wouldn't put him up though. Even Doug Pearson could be in there.
Yeah.
One of these guys that you wouldn't expect to get in the playoffs. And you wouldn't expect the Eagles to be the number 1 seed.
Yeah. There's some good there's some very, very good candidates this year for coach of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good. Shall we go to probably one of the candidates for last year and possibly even candidate again for this year? And I'm not on about John Harbaugh.
Zach Taylor?
Yeah. So J.K. Dobbins wasn't happy that Tyler Huntley went over the line of scrimmage. They didn't try and sneak it.
Yeah, because he's like 2'1", so he's never going to make it over the line of scrimmage.
You've seen the effectiveness of them going the quarterback sneak. They did it a couple of times in New York. They did it a couple of times in your game. They did it a couple of times in Buffalo. It works. It is the most effective way of getting a yard.
Yes.
And it is one of the most unstoppable ways of getting a yard. And yet teams seem to find different ways of doing it.
But I mean, Sam Hubbard taking scoop and score 98 yards.
I don't know who it was. I think it was a Mark Andrews was getting caught, was rapidly catching it up, and there was a slight push in the back, but I can't say anything about it.
Then he got pancaked.
Yeah, I can't say anything about it because it's pretty much the same kind of tackle that happened when Marcus Jones scored that game-winning touchdown against New York. The same kind of angle that the players came in together, and it was given. So we can't, at least the officiating that way has been the same. But yeah, it's another one of those situations where the unfancied team has literally it was being used all weekend. They're playing with house money. They weren't expecting to win. They're going to go, right, we're just going to go for this and keep going for this. And they did. I mean, Tyler Huntley's stats aren't brilliant. The rushing game wasn't brilliant, but it was more than the rushing game was almost as many yards as Joey Burrow's passing.
And J.K. Dobbins coming out of the backfield catching was also impressive.
Yeah, definitely. And then you got the Mars cryptic tweet earlier on, or cryptic Instagram story.
Oh, what's this?
It's on the group chat.
You put in the chat, didn't
you? Yeah, saying about pretty much saying whatever happens, etc., etc., etc. It says, when you've got something good, you don't play with it. You don't take the chances of losing it. You don't neglect it. When you have something good, you pour into it. You appreciate it because when you take care of something good, the good things take care of you.
Yeah, he's definitely not being subtle there, is he?
No, he that is pay me money now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's teams out there.
That's the way it goes with our players at the moment. You know, posting stuff on Instagram, unfollowing each other on Instagram.
Yeah, it's normally the players unfollowing the team. The teams very rarely unfollow players. They don't.
Yeah. I was more referring to players. You know, deleting all mention of their team off Instagram, unfollowing the team on Instagram,
or accidentally mistyping retire in the wrong place and then deleting it 5 minutes later,
or accidentally liking a tweet when you're in midnight mass. But,
you
know, that's just John Lynch.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I haven't fully watched this game yet. I will admit I was knackered and work and all that, so I'll leave this down to you two.
I watched a game in 40 earlier, and honestly, it was a very, very close game. The difference seemed to be that Cincinnati 98-yard Sam Hubbard touchdown was pretty much the difference. But also at the end, they went from 1st and 10 in the 17 to 4th and 27.
That's a lot of penalties and sacks.
Yeah.
That sounds it.
I can't remember exactly how they got that, but they did go from that to that. Which sort of just made the Tyler Huntley at the end had to do like a mini Hail Mary type thing.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. I've seen the touchdowns and all that. Cincinnati just need to do a thing, and now we've got the match that should have happened 3 weeks ago.
Except it's at the other stadium this time.
Yeah, it's at Orchard Park. So hopefully we'll get the game that everyone wants to have next week. It's going to be emotional because obviously the situation that happened in that game.
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon that's going to be a spicy little one. Spicy little game. Let's roll on to tonight's game.
Phil, my big question for you is who do you want? Because I want Tampa.
I want Tampa. I think Tampa will win. I genuinely don't think Dallas will win. And this isn't me with my anti-Dallas Cowboy hat on. It just feels like there's a weird air around where Tom Brady has dragged his old ass and the Bucs to this game, and Dallas are coming into this kind of like, we got our asses handed to us by a divisional rival in the last game of the season, and then there's now a load of pressure on us to perform, and they're going up against, regardless of regardless of age, the greatest quarterback of our generation. I think Tampa are going to win.
And McCarthy's pretty much as good as gone if they fail.
Yeah.
Jerry's had enough now, isn't he?
So... Jerry's on borrowed time. Like Jerry needs this. like Jerry needs this because Jerry has months left. If we're being honest, have you seen him? He looks like the crypt keeper from Tales from the Crypt. Like he looks haunting to look at. I just think Dallas are out, and he's going to try and bring someone in. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws money out trying to bring Sean Payton.
My issue is with Dallas is Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
he leads the interception charts this year, despite missing 5 games.
Yeah, he's played 12 games, and he's had more interceptions than he has games.
15 interceptions.
And the fact they only have they've got CD Lamb, who I wouldn't.
Who somehow made it into the Pro Bowl. Not the Pro Bowl.
I wouldn't call him a wide receiver 1.
But yet he made it into the All-Pro team.
Yeah, well, that just says everything, doesn't it?
Second team All-Pro wide receiver.
I mean,
I'll get on my soapbox about the All-Pro teams on Thursday. But yes, I don't think CD Lamb is WR1. I don't think Michael Gallup is WR1. I think trading Cooper was a really bad decision. And honestly, I think that's going to get found out tonight with the Bucs defense.
Oh, yeah. It's shocking. The Bucs defense will shut them down. Mike Evans will have a field day against Trayvon Diggs in that secondary. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch. I mean, Tom Brady in the playoffs is Tom Brady in the playoffs. He is, playoff Brady, isn't he? Everyone loves playoff Brady, apart from when you're playing against him. He knows how to win in the playoffs.
So Stacey Stingles just coming up saying Ravens is my team. Apologies.
Apologies.
Elizabeth Thomas has come up saying, hey.
It's I think Dallas's lack of wide receivers is probably one of the reasons why Dak's had so many interceptions. But Dak does make stupid decisions at times.
Dak is not your franchise.
No.
Dak is not your franchise. Like we talk about Kirk Cousins having a ceiling. I think Dak's ceiling is slightly above Kirk Cousins, but there's not much difference. I don't think that I'm again not with my anti-Dallas Cowboy hat on here. The Cowboys don't win a Super Bowl ever with Dak Prescott. I like Dak. I like him a lot. He seems, when I watched him on Hard Knocks when he came back from that injury, he seems like a genuinely nice person.
Yeah.
Who has a lot of love. He has a lot of as a leader, he just seems like such a great guy to be around. I don't think. Do you not think?
No, I was just going to say the Cowboys Hard Knocks got a lot of hate, but I actually enjoyed it. But I do agree with you that Dak Prescott is not a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
No.
I think
I don't know whether that's the Dallas Cowboys stink or the Mike McCarthy stink or just his development stink.
I do think Mike McCarthy is holding them back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw something else into the ring here. Being thrown in straight into the starter as a starter after 3 games because Tony went down injured. Not having that season sat behind Tony Romo has also affected him. He was a 4th round pick.
I do agree with that.
Having that veteran, watching that veteran week in and week out, understanding how he can manage the huddle, how he understands how he can change the plays audible straight away like that. How he can read the plays differently, how he can conduct himself around the thing. It's probably putting back a couple of years. I mean, you never know. Next year, Dak might be MVP caliber, Hall of Famer playing star player next season. But
you say that's putting back a few years. He's experienced enough now that he should be able to do that. What is this?
Completely, absolutely agree.
Fourth or 5th year in the league?
It's in his. So he must be in his 5th because he broke his ankle at the same year he signed that massive contract, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was also another thing. I think that might be weighing down his shoulders a bit.
Yeah.
And also not having, elite wide receivers. That O-line is shocking, Dallas. And if we talk about O-lines, Brady's got Ryan Jensen back tonight.
Yeah.
Last season's All-Pro center.
Yeah.
He is a brilliant player, and we know what Brady's like when he's got protection. When he's
is Wirfs back? Yeah, I think.
Wirf's done for the season.
Is he? Oh, okay. I thought he was only out for about 4 or 5 weeks.
No, I'm pretty sure Wirfs is done for the season. Let me just double check. Let's go to I want depth chart. Wirfs.
Stacey,
Wells is on IR.
Nobody has ever felt bad for the Seahawks in their life. And Bengals are very good.
Yes, they are very good. Tristan Wirfs. Meant to be out for weeks. There's nothing saying he's back yet. If he's back, that's brilliant for them. If not, interesting. Be interesting.
I still, I'm not going to change my prediction. I'm going to stick with the Bucs.
Yeah,
let's roll on to that one. Yeah, Shano's gone Cowboys. But Phil,
yo,
what's it like being undefeated? 5 out of 5, mate. We've both got.
Do you know what? Smugness is a really good colour on us. Do you not think, Ollie? Do you not think that the fact that there is a reason that at this point in the season, me and you are head and shoulders. We should call ourselves the Shampoo Boys because we are head and shoulders above the rest when it comes to prediction.
Not from shame, but yes, I'm in a different zip code.
Mate, you're in a different country, let alone zip code.
Mate, you're in a different. You're in the Victorian era. Like we're in the 21st century. You're back in the 19th century. That's how far behind you are from us, mate. But that's fine. This is where we learn. We learn and grow. We learn and grow.
Young pup, Ollie. It's interesting.
You guys are all like at least like 12, 13 years older than me.
All right, hush your mush. Like, why are you throwing age into this?
No, I'm not older than you, dude.
Yeah, you're even more. Yeah, to be honest, Ollie, I'm sort of confident you've only seen 12, 13 years.
It's the skincare, mate.
I spend a lot of money at a body shop for drops of youth, so that's how I keep myself. And I also dye my hair bi-monthly, so.
Oh, yeah, mate, go grey with gradually.
No. Like the thing is, like, whilst I'm going for like a very Matt Smith Doctor Who, and then when I'm 40, my hair's going to just be a little bit longer. I'm just going to be Professor Snape with like just black dyed hair, and then I'll retire not long after that. So I'll go grey gracefully because then no one will recognize me.
I mean, I don't need to dye my hair. I don't need drops of youth. I'm still very youthful, and to be fair, I'm not full of energy. I'm never full of energy, but
Ollie is really 123. He's got the case of Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
Ollie, wait until you hit 30, right? And then you find that you have to wake up in the night to go to the toilet, and then your knees hurt in the morning and your back is stiff. Like, honestly, it literally, when the clock strikes on your birthday and you turn 30, all that comes into effect. It's not like a gradual, it like hits you like a wall.
I've still got years until I'm 30.
You got what? 7?
6.
6. Oh my god, I was being generous with that as well.
Oh. Yeah, well, when it was my birthday and we had the show, I asked Ollie's youngest, how old do you think I'm turning? He said 30. I said no, I'm turning 24. And then Finn said, well, that's fine because you're still much younger than Daddy.
That's right for my kid. In America, it is Martin Luther King Day.
Yes. It is.
The great Martin Luther King.
I have a dream.
I have a dream. I've seen lots of inspirational quotes read out by players today. It was on Good Morning Football, which I didn't watch. Honest. And it's what he did was inspirational. It's what sets this world the way that the path they're on now. Just sad the way his life was taken from us.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, another thing as well, that it was brought up on social media. Was it Sunday night or Sunday during the day? About Aaron Donald. Donald. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that.
Saying he was retiring and then unretiring.
Yeah, there was rumbles at the end of last season when they won the Super Bowl, and there've been rumbles throughout this entire season. I wouldn't generally be surprised if he does call it quits. I mean, he's finished the season.
Just as Phil's finished his sentence.
Yeah, he's not had a great season. He's not had
a great season, but I think we can put this down to the fact that no one in that Rams organization has had a great season. He's been injury prone since the end of injury prone. He's been worn down since the end of last season. He's had a great career. That's not overstate the fact that this was a defensive player of the year. He was phenomenal. He will make it into the Hall one day, and he'll go down as one of the Rams' all-time greats. Like he will. So if it is time for him to fade into retirement, I mean, he strikes me as not like a Tom Brady who I think would want to parade, but more someone that will just subtly do something like genuinely like that coming up as in putting on his social media. That strikes me as something that Donald would do, and not being like horrible to him. And this is taking my 49er allegiance out of it. That generally sounds like he's quite an understated guy, really off the pitch. I mean, so him doing that.
I thought that, but then last year he went on the James Corden show.
But lots of arseholes go on the James Corden show. To be fair,
they did, and it was the day of the parade, and they did a segment called "Can Drunk Aaron Donald Do This?" And at one point they gave him a tie, and he's like, so Aaron Donald would be able to tie a tie.
Yeah. Not only that, but Jalen Ramsey this week's also like hinted it could be time.
Jalen Ramsey's had a bit of a bad season.
It's these players who've had really good careers, because Jalen Ramsey has had a really good career.
Jalen Ramsey, I called him many times last year to Mr. Butler Henderson's dismay.
Hey, yep, that'd be me.
The best shutdown corner in the league. However, this season, he's really not been the best shutdown corner in the league. He's not even been in the top 10 shutdown corners in the league.
Top 32, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had a bad season, but as you said earlier, the whole Rams organization this year's had a real bad season.
Tragic, absolutely tragic.
I mean, McVay could leave, Aaron Donald could leave, Jalen Ramsey could leave. If they all leave,
McVay said he's going to stay now.
Cardinals, Seahawks, and Niners will be having a party.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if McVay has currently said that he's going to stay, but if Donald leaves, if any of them don't come back, or even at this, I mean, Matt Stafford could retire. Like, what has Matt Stafford got left to really do? Like, he stat padded his entire career when he was at the Lions. No, because he literally is what I would call a quarterback who played on a bad team for so long that his stats look really good, because a lot of it he just yeets it into the end zone and he had Megatron. Like, you watch a lot of his highlight reels? It is just like, oh, what, Megatron's going to be down there somewhere. Megatron's been like triple teamed and he still catches her.
It was just the fact that you described it as yeeting it down the field.
We have some breaking news, gentlemen.
Oh, I like breaking news.
Cardinals plan to hire Titans executive Monteri Ozenfort as their new GM, as per Rapp and Tom Pelissero.
Ooh, okay. I mean, whoever's going to step into that job anyway, it's not like when, I'm trying to think of a really good GM that doesn't mess everything up. It's not like when Lynch came into the organization in San Francisco and it was a complete mess. He just, he had all the pieces and he just went with them. Arizona, it's a lot of executive jobs that have come up in some of these teams, and I go, I would not want that job. I would not, like, we talked about like the head coaches merry-go-round on Thursday show when I came on. And the same with like the GM jobs. You're walking into some of these teams that they have no cap space, no draft capital, and you've got to pay a lot of money to some players that aren't worth it.
Agreed.
Arizona is one of those teams that I'll be like, no, I don't fancy that. I really don't fancy that.
Interesting. It has come to the end of the show. Because we waffle on for the hell of it, just for the hell of it, because that's what we do. We will be back on Thursday, as our usual time, 8:30, as a foursome. There will be 8 teams left with a chance of winning the playoffs. Winning the whole bloody goddamn thing, not just the playoffs. It'll be interesting. Nice game, will be good. I think we're all going Bucks, bar Shano, who's gone Cowboys. Phil, Ollie, thank you as always for joining the show. Ladies and gentlemen,
always a pleasure.
Good night. Stay safe.